Winner of the week, Bo Nickal. Not even close. Not even a close second. It's Bo Nickal. Listen to what Bo did. Bo calls out Chimaev, okay? Henry Cejudo tells him that's a bad idea. Aaron Pico, who's in a feature bout in Bellator, weighed in as a former wrestler to tell him, slow it down. Daniel Cormier came straight out and said, Bo, you are not ready for Chimaev. Chael P, the biggest voice of them all, has talked about him 5 times this week. Bo Nickal won. There's a number of reasons you would call out Chimaev, just so you understand. Getting the fight with Chimaev and beating Chimaev is somewhere on the list, but it's not at the top. Getting a response from Chimaev is the first thing that you need. Letting Dana White know, this is where I say I stand. Because Dana White let Bo know where he thinks he stands. The first time that Bo fought in the Contender Series, got a finish in the first round, didn't take a shot, and Dana said, I'm not signing you, but I will give you another chance to come here. I see something impressive, but it needs a little time. And before I put you, I got to bring you here. Now, he has brought him here. Gave him John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, and he's a 1,800 favorite on an undercard. And that's where the judge has stepped in to let you know, between the Picos, between the Cormiers, between the Chaels, and between the Cejudos, I am making my ruling, and you're taking on Jingleheimer Schmidt on an undercard. I mean, I'm just sharing with you. So that's why it's very important that Bo let everybody know, including the guys in the room. Talk about martial arts. This is not a martial art. I have to live within the silly world that we're doing mixed martial arts, right? Somewhere they named it that in 2001 in Nevada to get a bill passed through the legislature. But I have to always hear it's about martial arts. So let me just play along. In the spirit of martial arts, when you go to enter a tournament, when you enter that tournament, you will put down your belt level. Now, that's where it's very important that you have a belt level. It's very important that your gym is in conjunction with other gyms about how you progress people, because we're going to go out and compete. If you made a guy a black belt too early, your black belt isn't going to do very well. Just by example, but this is kind of the checks and balances. Everything has that. Everything is checks and balances. When we start a division, and we've seen this with brand new divisions, where we've had champions or we've had number 1 contenders, we come 1 through 10, we don't know. We haven't seen them fight. We don't have much of a familiarity, but we will listen to what other people are saying. We absolutely will listen to your coaches. We will listen to fellow athletes. We will listen to fans and media that have seen you. Absolutely. It's called a reputation. And if you have the bigger and more scary reputation, you will get a higher ranking and you will get to that title fight a hell of a lot sooner than anybody else, even if you're all even at 0 fights. So this is a very real phenomenon. We understand that. So Bo calling out Chimaev is a very great thing. Now, Chimaev responded and said, who is this boy? I don't mind that. If anybody's done a great job with the media recently, it's Chimaev. He's been a sensation like we've only seen a few times in this sport. I don't love the idea that Chimaev just had this done to him. He had me coming over here and screaming from the rooftops to get your eye on this guy and give him his recognition. Absolutely defending Chimaev. While other guys did to him what he just said to Bo. Who is this guy? Nobody knows him. Nobody's seen him. His record sucks. He has no ranking. All of these different reasons to not have to go out there and do it. Now, what I wish that Chimaev would have done, first off, accept it. The art of war, guys. The best general never fires a shot. Never. The guys throughout history who you thought were the craziest leaders in the world, they never went to war. They just said certain things and they backed everybody else down. That's why they never had to fight. And somebody is going to lose between Bo and Chimaev, even if they don't ever get in there. It's going to happen in the media. We see it all the time. We see fights without punches all the time. It's what an election is. It's what a debate between 2 politicians are. Then the judges, the voters, come in and decide who won the fight. The same as for right now, Dana has stepped in as the judge and decided who won the fight, and Bo's fighting Jingleheimer Schmidt at a negative 1,800. My goodness, right? All right, here we are. I would have liked if Chimaev knew exactly who he was. I would have liked if Chimaev had let us know he was studying him. I do not like when the guys become elitists and they get up in the loft. That's what everybody did to Chimaev. You get a guy that acts like that, you get him up into the loft, you get a belt around him, you got all sorts of problems, right? He ends up doing what Jon Jones does, and he doesn't come back and defend it, leaves the thing on the table and talks on Instagram for 2 years. I mean, it's very common when you empower somebody that isn't a true competitor. And generally, none of them are true competitors. When I hear Pico saying slow down, or when I hear Daniel Cormier saying, hey, you're not ready for Chimaev, we can get into the X's and O's and the predictions of that fight at another time. Bo right now is just trying to get the fight. And I never really understand where a guy comes from where he says, hey, slow down, you're not ready. If it's slow down, you're not ready, but that is the real answer, don't sign him. The UFC is not where you go to learn how to fight. It never has been. It's about champions and contenders. So, I mean, let's just start with that. If you think a guy doesn't have enough experience, then what you're saying is Dana signed a guy that shouldn't have been signed. You're either saying that Dana did the wrong thing in signing him, or shut up. It's as simple as that. You don't pick who you fight over here. And Chimaev could have fired back and said, first off, he should have said yes. And he should have made it very clear, I know who that is. I have been following you for years. I've been watching you since you were a junior in college. I've been waiting for you to say my name. The best general never fires a shot. Bo might hear that and go, whoa, hold on a second. About that Jingleheimer Schmidt idea. Let's do that instead. He backs down. He never threw a punch and somebody won the fight. One of these guys is going to quit talking about the other one. And whoever that is and moves on first to somebody else, not getting what they first set out there for, loses the fight. There's a fight right now. And I don't love the concept that a guy isn't ready. I don't know what it means. I'm confused by it. And I know that Bo would be confused by it. If I'm not ready, but this is where I say I go. When I sign up for the tournament, I put down black belt. If I'm willing to step out there with the other black belts and test this theory, what business is it of yours if I'm not going to win? I have a 50% chance of failure every time I step into the octagon. I'm either going to win or I'm not going to win. There's not a third option. So what difference does it make? If Chimaev can put an ass whipping on Bo, why wouldn't he do it? It pays the same. Chimaev's fought 2 guys ever that I know. I've watched all of his fights. For $1 million, I could not produce a name for you. And I watched them all, aside from 2. I could for 2. So what difference does it make if it's an easy fight and they're going to pay him? Why wouldn't we give him the easy fight? Why would he not want that? And if Bo wants to use it as a learning experience, what difference does it make? It's his choice. He went to the tournament. He checked the box. He said he was a black belt. What difference does it make? Instead, he's going with Jingleheimer Schmidt, waiting for a fallout with Duplessis and Darren Till, which is going to fall out. I don't know if they're going to move Bo into that fight. It might just have to be Jingleheimer. But he either belongs here or he doesn't. And if he's ready to test that, he's ready to test it right now. What difference does it make? I like everything that Chimaev does. I'm not sure for you, Bo can step in and beat Chimaev. I don't give a damn, but neither does Bo. I'm bringing this to your attention because there does seem to be a belief in our industry. You take fights that are good. I've heard people say, that's a good matchup for me. Who cares if it's not? If they would have given you somebody else, you would have done this fight. Are you fighting the UFC 3 times a year when they call you or not? There's other places to go. Call Treblecock. Head over to King of the Cage. Pick your opponents, right? There's other places to go. That's not what it is. And I don't know how leaders in our sport and leading voices in our sport are coming out and telling anybody any different. Should Pat Cummings not have fought Daniel Cormier? He wasn't going to beat him. They used to train together every day. He wasn't going to win that fight. He never fought in the UFC. This is going to be a feature match and a co-main event on a pay-per-view only outdone by Ronda Rousey. Should have he not done that? because it was an incredible opportunity. One guy in Daniel goes off to a world title fight. Pat gets to come back, does 5-6 other fights. I mean, this is what he did for a career after that. It's not the same situation. It's not the same situation. I understand that, because now you're leaving with a contract that you would not have had if you hadn't done that. Bo already has the contract. But Bo doesn't want Jingleheimer Schmidt. He doesn't want negative 1,800. He doesn't want easy opponents. That's all I'm trying to share with you. If you are trying to impart your own cowardice and apply it to Bo, you just got the wrong guy. I'm here to share that with you. Tell you a great story. I mean, just so you understand this, okay? Bo Nickal does not believe he can beat Kyle Schneider, but he's willing to try. He'll try in front of anybody that's willing to watch. He is willing to go out and do the match, but he does not think he can beat Kyle Schneider. Bo gets on an airplane with Kyle Schneider. He sits next to Kyle. He rooms with Kyle. He has breakfast with Kyle. He goes to the tournament and weighs in with Kyle, and then he warms up with Kyle, just so you understand. That was in a different country that cost him thousands of dollars to get to. He entered the tournament with a guy that he flew there with, knowing he couldn't. Kyle's the best wrestler on earth. In a weight class Bo doesn't belong. I mean, just to share with you, there was no part of him that thought he was going to win. He went out and did it anyway. Not only did he do it anyway, he sacrificed to do it. Not only he sacrificed to do it, he paid a whole bunch of money to be able to do it. They ended up not meeting up, just in case you're wondering how that story ended. I'm just sharing with you, you're dealing with somebody else here. The true competitors, the true cream rises to the top. And a true competitor would not have somebody else in the division and not know who it is. I knew them all. I knew 17-year-olds that were juniors in high school that weren't even eligible, but they showed potential and they were in a gym in Miami, and I knew about it. And I had notes on it. I had pictures on the guy, and I prepared for the guy. So I was in a position of anyone, anywhere, anytime. I knew them all. And if you're not that professional and you don't want to know them all, that's okay too. It just can't preclude you from walking out there and doing it, or you're in the wrong place. And now we've got supporters coming in and supporting. So, okay, whatever personal cowardice that you have that you're going to apply to somebody else, and whatever personal cowardice the people have spoke up and said Bo should not be going after Chimaev have, don't apply it to Bo. And it's not just talk. I just gave you a story where it actually happened. And I could give you more stories of events where the same thing has happened and Bo showed up anyway. You can like that or not like that. But if you think that Bo wants to be completely undefeated and have a beautiful record and get his win and show, and then be happy, as opposed to putting on the line, testing it now. Possibly I learn something, possibly I get beat. But what bad is going to happen? He's fighting Jingleheimer Schmidt right now. If he goes out and fights Chimaev and he's got to slide down, he falls to what? Jingleheimer Schmidt? He's in a worse spot right now, being completely undefeated, being full of pride and hard work because you guys have stuck him here.